When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
legislation, the right to self protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the show. So we literally just got back from a quick trip to New Jersey. The Second Amendment doesn't sleep anywhere, and so we had gone to an event. I don't know, about what, 8.5, 9 hours from home, and that was hosted by the Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners and the Women for Gun Rights group, the state of New Jersey state group, and they put together an event last night that was pretty darn
It
amazing.
was definitely a fancy place we had. I don't remember what the name of the mansion. I think is what they called it.
Right. So yeah. So when you name it the mansion, it gives you a clue that it was kind of
The thing
just
that was funny is that I mean you see these in like big magazines and stuff like this, but they had like flower pots that were like 4 foot tall, and then they had like 8 foot tall flowers hanging out of them, like a dogwood tree plants, stuff like this. It's like that's a pretty substantial centerpiece.
well. Yeah, just a little bit of yeah, a little bit of decoration. But no, so the CNJFO and the Women for Gun Rights put together a lineup. Charlie Cook, you guys all have heard of him. Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie was the MC. Teresa Einacker or is the state leader for Women for Gun Rights, and they brought in Dick Heller, which is Heller versus D.C., the Supreme Court case, the Second Amendment Supreme Court case from 2008. Gabby Franco, the Venezuelan Olympian, who is now a U.S. citizen, and talks about gun rights from the vantage point of she was participating in Venezuela's Olympics with guns as they were taking guns and gun rights away from their citizenry. And then there was this really, really spicy rabbi out of New Jersey that was talking about guns and God and self defense and your
Shoot back
abilities.
first.
there was a there was a little bit of yeah, God doesn't blame you if you take out somebody that's trying to take out you, right? That was kind of his message, I guess. And then Lucretia Hughes, who she had the house rocking with her whole rendition of why she has the Second Amendment, and she is the mother of a murder victim, and she talked about how that was not going to turn her away from the Second Amendment, and how it actually makes it to where you need to be able to be skilled and trained and able to protect yourself. And so it was just a overall great event. And then so so John Petrolino, who is there, Petrolino, writer for Bearing Arms, Ammo Land, and the like, and he uh, he was talking dessert with Rob, and Rob's like, "I've never had a cannoli," and John acted like that was a capital offense, if you will. So made sure that Rob had a cannoli, and we'll just say Rob's probably a one cannoli kind of guy.
Right.
So
I'm sure he's planning a cannoli roundabout. We're going to go all the way through New Jersey trying
like a
cannolis in 50 places.
I
Cause,
think that's what he said, was he's going to arrange for a flight of cannolis so you could try a variety of them. So it was entertaining. So what did you find the most impressionable, the thing that stuck with you the most about the event last night?
uh, well, there was a lot of people there
A lot
for
of
one
people.
thing. But yeah, the some of the speakers were. very good. I mean, the most of them. I know they were supposed to only be a couple minutes long, and most of them couldn't hold back, so that stretched out the event for quite a while. But I mean, it was
I think people were engaged with what they were saying, though. It wasn't like they were like, "Oh, just stop."
right. I
It
can't wait
wasn't.
for it to get over with.
No,
They were actually. I mean, some of them got standing ovations. Afterwards, they chased them down to talk more about what they had to say.
right.
So
Yeah.
it was definitely a good conversation going on.
I think the part that amazed me was how many different states were represented there. How many people came? I mean, there were three NRA directors in the room. There were there were people from everywhere from Massachusetts, Connecticut, well, obviously New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Georgia, it just Virginia. It they really converged upon this because they support both of these organizations.
Well, the thing is, you need to get a pretty big crowd so that you can get some money coming in because everything runs on money. So
Really, yeah.
it's
So I got to sit next to a congressional candidate who's running for the New Jersey third district, and their primary is I don't know what she said, soon, like 3 weeks away, something like that. And so talking Second Amendment with somebody in a state that they really struggle with trying to have enough Second Amendment, enough issues with, no, how do you say that? They struggle with having enough Second Amendment because people don't recognize the Second Amendment. They don't allow, they're like, yeah, this doesn't apply to you. And so there was a lot of words about the fact that, oh, you live in free America and we don't. We live in the America where they've got their foot on our neck and they're holding us down. And so somebody who's trying to campaign while understanding that if you take what they consider the citizenry of New Jersey take as an extreme issue or an extreme stance, either to the right or the left, that it's going to harm you. But how do you craft your message, and what is the message? And I mean, we think it's easy. It's simple. Shall I shall not comply to your unconstitutional demands.
no, the
But
thing you get with some of that though is that if the people are comfortable and they don't know that they're missing their Second Amendment rights, then they really don't have anything to worry about, right?
they don't know that
I
they don't
think
know
they
that
call
that
that
pressure.
blissfully ignorant.
There is that. They don't know that that pressure that they feel on the back of their neck is someone else's boot. They they just think maybe their shirt collar's just a little tight. But no, I want to say, thank you very much to that group of people for all of the things that they did and put together for an event like that. If you have an opportunity in your area, in your state, to go to something and hear the speakers and see what they have to say and hear the messages, doing that in person is so much more interesting and im- causes you to have a permanent impression on you of what they're saying, how they're saying it, why they're saying it, and it just connects and resonates better.
Well, I think getting to actually talk to people once you've heard them speak and you get a chance to ask them a little bit about that, it gives you more of a baseline as to why they feel that way and why you
Hmm.
should feel that way.
And seeing what formed them and formed their position and their interest. The other part is did you see the line of people that were waiting to talk to Dick Heller? That were waiting to get their picture taken with him. They were waiting to get his autograph. I don't. I mean, I know he knows how important he is to history, but I don't really believe that he understands the impact that he has on people to where they're like, I got to shake
Well,
his
the thing is,
hand. I. Yeah.
You just got that. I'm just me. I don't really understand the.
Just call me dude.
But I don't. I
Right.
don't understand what the
What the
fuss
big
is
deal is.
about.
And it's like, look, it was more than 200 years that we did not get a hearing at the Supreme Court level on Second Amendment issues. It was erosion, erosion, erosion until your case came along and broke that up and gave it back to us. And frankly, it is the straw that broke the camel's back that started to pull things back apart. And so now we are gaining ground again where we had not for so many years. We'll be back right after these messages.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the backseat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Are you interested in firearms? Are you looking for a resource to help you understand guns? Trying to help someone who's new to the world of shooting? Hi, I'm John Petrolino, 2A writer and the author of Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on general gun safety and use. Decoding Firearms is a comprehensive book with 266 pages of information. Want to learn more? Visit thepenpatriot.com or get yours today on Amazon in paperback or Kindle.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are back, and I have been, I mean, obviously, when you're in New Jersey, you're thinking politics because you're so grateful. At least for me, I am so grateful that I live in the state that I live in, and where it is in the fight that they have. I'm so grateful that they are there fighting it, but I'm even more grateful that I don't have to be. That I can go in, visit, help, and come home. But did you see the article that's talking about the presidential race and where the Second Amendment is going to play into that race?
No, but I mean, there's so many things that are going to play into that race that everybody should be hating the guy that's in there right now.
Well, the interesting part is that, I mean, both the Democrats and the Republicans have picked their candidate, and in a lot of cases, to the moderates, neither one is a palatable choice. And so the surveys are coming back, and they are sitting here saying that the polls, I guess, not the surveys. The polls are saying that Donald J. Trump is leading by about 2 points. So it's not a substantial, it's not a huge, it's not a gangbuster difference between where the current president is and where the prior current president is, right? And where those two are. But so both of them are going to have to play to the independents, to the middle ground, to the moderates who are because the people who are uniquely political have already made their choice because they were involved in helping pick the party person. So they've already made their choice. And so now it's the undeclareds or the middle ground people who are going to have a much bigger say in what this presidential race is going to look like. And so the Second Amendment folks that are from the Democrat side are saying to Joe Biden, you need to moderate. You need to make it so that you are less vehement about your stand on the Second Amendment. And he's like, I'm not doing it. So he is still all in and demanding a ban on assault weapons, demanding a ban on high-capacity magazines, urging the ATF to go after these different things.
And then he also wants a ban on gas grills and gas stoves and gas furnaces and everything. So why wouldn't a person who lives indoors and likes to eat and everything and hates $5 a gallon gas and all that stuff, why would they even think about hiring that guy back? I think anyone who answers that question should get a free psychological evaluation.
Oh, if they say this is my guy? No, I mean, so on the Second Amendment, so on the gun policy itself, he is at a all-time low of 31% approval for his position on the Second Amendment. And there's so many different reasons why that is, but a big one is that there are so many people that have pistol braces, that have concealed carry, that have AR-15s, that have or know someone who has a homemade gun or a 3D printed gun. Or
Trump's not the golden child on this either.
No.
The fact that he was the one who implied that they should do something with the bump stocks and
correct.
So there's a lot of gray area here as to who's the better one.
Correct.
Bruin's fighting all this stuff, and it's going to persevere, but it's just there's so many things in this Biden campaign that is not going to go good for you.
It's really interesting. So doubling down on these new gun bans, well, and then while the folks that are on the hard Second Amendment stand are sitting there looking at it going, you, President Joe Biden, are trying to restrict our access, limit us, put more and more roadblocks in, yet the smartest man that you know is allowed to do what he wants to do. And so it really is going to make that road a whole lot rougher for the Democrats and the Democrat platform when it kind of turns into this kind of a mix where he is, he's saying you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do anything else, but yet my son, he can do whatever, and they're just picking on him. So sticking to this issue, so watch this, just absolutely keep an eye on this, watch it, because this is going to be one of the political race topics. It really is. The Second Amendment, I mean, there's all the other stuff that goes with it, but the Second Amendment itself and the ATF and the actions the ATF take and the actions that the courts are taking with Hunter Biden, all of those issues are going to become integral in this election. And between now and October, between now and the first week of November,
moves on any of that if they just keep dragging their feet.
They're gonna, but he's still sitting there trying to put a variety of executive actions into place, but most of them can't do the big things that Joe Biden promised the anti-gunners. All this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. He doesn't have that ability, so he's disappointed them. But he's also disappointed the folks who don't want him to do anything because he's trying to do it. So I think that his bucket of disappointment is way bigger than his bucket of approval, because he's doubling down on stuff that is, I think, going to come back and slap him.
Well, that's one of the stories we have is where they complain about the border, and that, the Mexican government now is complaining about the fact that the American gun companies' products get to across the border. So had they put the wall in, that may have stopped all that. That
may have stopped all of that. So when we come back, we're going to talk a bunch about this, because this applies to a ruling that we have in the United States called the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, where they cannot sue the gun manufacturers for a product that works as designed. Yet here we are with Mexico going, yeah, that doesn't apply, and we're going after you. But we'll be back to talk about that more.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Are you interested in firearms? Are you looking for a resource to help you understand guns? Trying to help someone who's new to the world of shooting? Hi, I'm John Petrolino, 2A writer and the author of Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on general gun safety and use. Decoding Firearms is a comprehensive book with 266 pages of information. Want to learn more? Visit thepenpatriot.com or get yours today on Amazon in paperback or Kindle.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Okay, so as we were talking about it, this lawsuit that is filed in Mexico. So remember when we had the incident where the U.S. government in the Fast and Furious time frame was exporting guns to see if they would get back, and so they have to get them to the drug cartels so we get them to Mexico? Well, that was then, and now the Mexican government is saying, oh, look at this. Guns are getting into the hands of the drug cartel. So it absolutely has to be the fault of the U.S. gun manufacturers. Because it cannot be the fault of there is no barrier wall.
Well, the thing is the lead lawyer in that case worked for the Brady campaign.
Well, there is that. So it cannot be the fault of, if Mexico has a problem with things moving over the border, like people and guns and drugs,
tighten up the security at the border.
You would think that they would build a wall, right? Because then they could control what was happening there. But that's not it. So no, there's no wall for them. They are looking at it saying that the American firearms companies are liable because they refuse to adopt policies that curtail the supply of firearms smuggled south. And curtail it says stop making them, so that they want the gun manufacturers to stop making modern sporting rifles, to stop selling firearms to anyone unless they have a legitimate need as defined by the Mexican government, not by the U.S. Constitution, not by the Second Amendment, not by even the restrictive states in the United States, but by the Mexican government. They want to do it. So they filed these suits, and there is a federal protection called the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, PLCAA, that stops civil lawsuits seeking to hold firearms companies liable for harms that come from downstream criminal misuse of products that work as designed. So if the gun blows up or if the gun fails based on its design, you can be sued. if the gun works the way that it is intended to be used, and then someone does a crime with it, they cannot be sued. It would be the same as saying, I am going to sue you because somebody drove their car to the bank to rob the bank. So it's got to be the car's fault because the car allowed them to go to the bank. Does that make sense?
Right.
Right. You're so verbose.
You
right?
know, I mean, you think about the Second Amendment was put in the Constitution. Apparently, there must have been some discussion at that time, or they wouldn't have thought about it.
They wouldn't have thought about how they, yeah.
And so to think that at that time they were arguing about it, we're still arguing about it.
Well, the interesting part is the district court agreed with the lawyers that said that the PLCAA protection applies here and that Mexico cannot sue. So there was that. And then the First Circuit Court said, oh, no. There's a narrow ruling that allows for an exception in the PLCAA, and this meets that. So Mexico is suing for $10 billion.
But they also say that Mexico shouldn't be able to sue in an American court anyways. So.
They shouldn't be able to. So there's so many things. So
we have issues here in this country between the fact that the Chinese own the pork producers and the Mexicans can sue our gun companies in our courts.
And our activist judges are going, oh yeah, that's just fine because the Mexican government is suing somebody that I don't like, so go right ahead.
Right.
If I like them, you're not going to be allowed to. But since I don't like you a long time, you go right ahead and sue them. So it is going to have to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to have to stop it. I mean, really, if a country is suing another country, it shouldn't end up in that country's courts. It actually should end up like at The Hague or something. One would think.
And the fact that they're not suing our country, they're suing our country's industry. So it should go through country to country, and then from there downhill to...
Yeah, it should go that they sue our country and then say, okay, tell them.
And then when our country says our Second Amendment protects us against that, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. I want to see our country say, nanner, nanner, boo-boo, and, just get off my lawn.
How did Ronald Reagan say it? The bombing starts in 10 minutes.
Okay. It's just the activist judges. It's like there are these protections in place for a reason. And how can a judge look at it and say, yeah, that doesn't apply? That just doesn't apply. So it goes back to this: elections have meaning, and paying attention to who you elect as judges. Because
how do you get some of these lifetime appointed judges?
Well, baby judges grew up to be big judges who get in queue for lifetime appointments. So you have to pay attention in your courts, on your ballot.
Only criminals know their judge. Otherwise, the regular people, they choose to ignore it.
Okay, they choose to ignore it. I'm asking you to choose to interview them.
Right, but most people don't, and since now they can't even tell you what party they affiliate themselves with or anything, it makes it even harder to understand.
You can, so the judge cannot tell you what party they affiliate.
They're allowed to lie to you if they think that it will get them to advance their cause. So
I don't know. I don't think the judges are allowed to. I don't know, man. I know that people are allowed to lie on political propaganda. Right. They're allowed to lie on that.
He's telling you how good of a judge he is. That should fit squarely in the
political propaganda. Okay, there is that. So,
In the old days, they used to say so and so the hanging judge, or so and so.
well, and then they would spit and then grind it into the pavement when they said their name, right? That there is
Right.
that. But no, I think that one of the things you should do, is pay attention to the slate cards for the party that you align with and the belief system that you align with, so
So
that
they'll tip their hand by telling you to vote for their guy because he's a good guy, and
Correct.
you'll know differently at that point.
correct. And you'll be like, yeah, I don't trust you at all. Or I do trust you. Or I sort of trust you. Or you're not as bad as that guy. Or that guy, because it is politics. So it's not like you say, oh, you open your mouth and the heavens open up and the sun shines and the angels sing. It's not like that. It's like, okay, which one is the least reprehensible to my way of life? There is a lot to that.
I can see that.
I can see that. So get involved in a place to where you do a little research to try to figure out who and what is local. But okay, so back to your other question about how do they get a lifetime appointment? I don't.
That's how do you get rid of somebody who has a lifetime appointment if all of a sudden they start throwing out wacky calls on the bench? Is there
Well,
a way to?
I don't. Can they be recalled? Can a lifetime appointment judge be recalled? I mean, think about what the Supreme Court is, a lifetime appointment, and there are people who are like, well, they need to be recalled. Whatever that is that a wacky decision?
Well, there might be a mechanism for it. It's just it takes so many signatures or so many whatevers to make it happen, and since people have to live indoors and they have to work for a living, collecting signatures doesn't pay well.
Doesn't pay. Right.
We'll just ignore that guy. He'll be dead in 40, 50 years. We'll get a new one then.
We'll just cross our fingers and hope that our stuff doesn't go to that judge,
Yeah.
right? Whatever that is. I mean, it's sort of like California wishes that most of the Second Amendment stuff does not go to Judge Benitez.
Well, I think there's a lot of times that when Trump is in front of the courts, they hope that he doesn't draw certain judges because the fact that they're not liberal enough to understand why he's being charged with something.
So our video producer says that you can impeach a judge. So you can work to impeach, and so that would be. But you have to. There has to be some decision that comes across that makes you angry enough to get off the sofa to take the action to remove them from their position. And it's not as easy as I pick you, you're gone. Right? It's not, you're fired. It doesn't quite work that way.
They've been doing that with the House speakers lately, and people don't like that for some reason.
They don't like having them, not having them.
They just don't like the fact that that people can
rotate,
pay attention, and tell them to get out of here.
Get out of here. Well,
we don't like you no more.
I don't know. Did the current one agree to the contract that the last one agreed to?
I don't know, but he's walking a thin line because he's afraid of going too.
Maybe there's
nobody likes the boot.
Right. Nobody likes the boot. Or yeah, they're well, yeah, you're right. Nobody likes to be publicly heckled either. So there's all of that. But you've got to get involved. You've got to know. You've got to care. I think you've got to care. So when we come back, we've got more news, more stories, and more of Rob's wit and wisdom. You should be scared.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Are you interested in firearms? Are you looking for a resource to help you understand guns? Trying to help someone who's new to the world of shooting? Hi, I'm John Petrolino, 2A writer and the author of Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on general gun safety and use. Decoding Firearms is a comprehensive book with 266 pages of information. Want to learn more? Visit thepenpatriot.com or get yours today on Amazon in paperback or Kindle.
So, primers. Absolutely, the manufacture of primers is a measure of national security, and it is a new topic of conversation currently. I mean, when you sign up to be a congressman, when you sign up to be a senator in the United States, you really do have to think three-dimensional. And so there is a Czechoslovakian group, CSG, that has made a bid and offer to buy Vista Outdoors Ammunition, and that branch of, and Vista was part of Smith & Wesson, right?
I don't know.
It was a holding company that they had.
They own a lot of ammunition companies, so they're like Spear and a couple of the gunpowder companies at one time.
Okay.
They had just recently, I mean, within the last 10 years, all went into this Vista Group thing. They didn't know.
Yeah, so it's been, so these manufacturers of ammunition, primers, powder, those things have been shifting around, and part of it is, in the United States, has been abuse that they have received under the EPA for not in my backyard, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. And so currently what happened was that the U.S.-based Vista Outdoors has received a bid and an offer from the Czech Republic-based CSG organization, and it's a big one. It's a big offer, but it would move the control of more than 70% of all primers manufactured in the world to handle under one company in the Czech Republic.
The thing is, if the manufacturer is going to stay here in this country, then really, what different? I mean, if they need to seize control of it, it's here already set up running, and if they force this not to sell, and the next guy buys it and decides to shut it down or move it out of the country, then they don't have it at all.
Then,
you know what I mean?
Then what happens? So right now, Senator John Kennedy, a Republican out of Louisiana, and Senator J.D. Vance, a Republican out of Ohio, have published their concerns to the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen.
There is some, I mean, what we could do is
what
like
could
they
we do?
The government opened a lot of ammunition plants during the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them have been closed down since then. But like Lake City Ammunition is still up and running as a government entity, but the government doesn't run it. They open it to high bid, and then a private company takes over and runs their factory.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way the government gets the ammo they want, and then lately they've just been overselling the overstock at that point. As to there's been some talks about how they want to try to shut the government down from being in the ammo business because of the fact that the liberals don't like the fact you get a bullet. So, but it's the kind of thing is if this is a case where it's private industry.
Mm-hmm.
How can they regulate who's going to buy or sell versus...
Right, when they look at it and they say that you can't sell it, so this guy who's got a bucket of money is trying to hand you the bucket of money and you can't sell it.
Right,
and,
so do you close it down? Do you move it to a different country? What do you do with it at that point?
I mean, it would be sort of like, I would think, and this is I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an expert. But I would think that if they wanted to stop the sale, that the only way to stop the sale would be to make an equal or better offer from the U.S. government, so that they then owned it like the Lake City manufacturer.
That's
right.
The government would own it. They just wouldn't run it. They would just hire an outside contractor to run it for them.
So right now, the senators are saying that they have questions about whether CSG has relationships with China. They are concerned that the
Russian influence and all kinds of different things.
So Senator Kennedy claims that CSG has dealt with U.S. foreign adversaries, and that...
And they've, in the last, say, 30 years, they've stopped the import of Chinese and Russian ammo and all this stuff. So they've pretty much closed us down to just U.S. domestic stuff. And now they're going to put the kibosh on that, too.
Right. Well, so they say that CSG says that some of their employees in the United States hold federal security clearances, and that would not happen if they actually did business with Russia, China, or any non-U.S. Any U.S. non-ally, so any of the enemies of the state. And so it's really going to be an interesting thing to say, can the government stop it? Well, can the government stop it? Should the government stop it? If you're a private company in the name of commercialism, can they take the guy that's waving all the money around and say, no, you're going to have to go to a lower bidder. You're going to have to take less money. You're going to have to let somebody else lowball you because they're not willing to step up, and they'll be an acceptable solution.
Or will it go into some kind of thing with the RICO where, because of the fact that it is such a major player in the industry, will they break it up and make it be sold to multiple entities so that it's not all in one basket?
So should they have broken it up before they allowed it to get this big?
Well,
I mean, for a manufacturer to have 70% of all primers on the market.
Remember, you're asking a nitwit to try to tell you how this is the best way for that.
Are you the nitwit we're referring to?
This is somewhat out of my wheelhouse.
This is out of my wheelhouse. But no, I think it's a thought process. And so you're sitting here, and so there was a United States company that offered to buy all of Vista Outdoors for $3 billion with a B, $3 billion.
And that's the second bidder.
But this is the Vista Outdoors ammo division only, so it's not a $3 billion buy, but it is a substantial.
Well, maybe we should throw a hat in the ring.
Yeah, but our $10 isn't going to get us anywhere. You're going to need a better job for that.
Sure, the government will give you a loan because they want it to stay here. Right?
Yeah.
And then when you're done, you'll have bullets to sell. So
we're all good. We are absolutely all.
I mean, everybody wants bullets, so why wouldn't it be all good? And
I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing to see because they're playing this. He said, no, he said, a different he said something. And so, but you see their concern, and we see that we have had a primer and ammo shortage pretty much for hit or miss for the last 18 years. So this could get very serious and then stay that way for a prolonged period of time. Because we started the ammo shortages in about 2008.
Now's a good time for somebody to get into this business because there may be some openings for...
I mean, when you look at it and you look at how long we've had ammo shortages, one would think that there would have been an opportunity to get into this business a little bit. But then we're back to the joyous business practices of the EPA and occupational safety and health. Yeah, it would be, if Rob bought Vista, he would keep all the ammo to himself. I don't think that solves the problem either for the government. He would just be sitting there like Scrooge McDuck on his pile of primers.
Right, I'd have to high dive board, huh?
Something like that. We'll be back right after the commercial break.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
So, Rob, do you remember us talking about Pittman Robertson and Pittman Robertson money?
Yeah.
Yep, and on so many different levels. So tell our folks what Pittman Robertson is, how it came about, why there's money, and then we'll talk about where that money goes.
Pittman Robertson is an act where they take tax money from manufacturer of sporting goods, primarily guns and ammunition, but other things have been added into it over the years, fishing equipment and stuff like this. And they use that money for conservation and to build shooting ranges and train people, stuff like this. It started in 1937. I think it's 11% for ammo, 10% for long guns, and like 6% for handguns or something like this.
Right.
But it was voluntarily put in place by the people that were buying guns to help, because by the beginning of the Second World War, we almost ran out of wildlife in the U.S.
And the conservationists had started to notice, the gun owners had started to notice that there was not public hunting lands, there was not abilities to do this stuff, and they were like, well, we will willingly use our sport to help fund this. And so that's what Pittman Robertson money is, and it is gathered on a federal level, so into a large bucket, and then it's divided into 50 smaller buckets, divvied to the states, and then the states divvy it from there.
Usually your Department of Natural Resources gets the money, and then they go from there. They use some of it for their own personal use, and then there's also some available to other people if you've got a good plan.
So there's step outside grants, there's fishing grants, there's hunting grants, there's training grants, and then there's the ability to buy land and produce ranges. But the interesting part is I mean, they have been buying public hunting lands as a piece of this. But up until just recently, it had been that if they were going to build a range or they were going to do that the state had to provide 25% of the funds in a fund matching system.
You can see why there isn't an overage of amount of ranges built anywhere, and they're kind of few and far between.
Because they have to pony up the 25%, and the Pittman Robertson ponies up 75%. It's a good deal if you were trying to put one in, but if you were
in the first place,
if you wanted one in the first place, but if you're just like looking for free money, you're like, wait, 25% of my money has to go into it? Yeah, no. So they have gone in and they have changed. They have a bill that is called the Range Access Act, and the U.S. House has passed this, and so it. Let me read you. This is part of a press release. The Firearms Industry National Shooting Sports Foundation, the Firearms Industry Trade Association, has publicly praised the U.S. House of Representatives for the bipartisan passage of House Resolution 6492, which expands public land in their outdoor recreational experience. So, you know how they name every act something, and so they're going to call it Expanding Public Lands Outdoor Recreational Experience, the Explore Act. And the bill, which was introduced by Westerman, from a Republican from Arkansas, had 51 bipartisan co-sponsors, and so now it is passed through the House. So it must be approved by the U.S. Senate before it goes to the president. But this is a big first step. Part of that will allow states to then have a matching program of 10% to 90% to use Pittman Robertson money more to do this, because what's been happening is there are some things that they don't have to do a match to, and there's other stuff that they have to do a match. So they're like, yeah, I'm not spending my money on the match. So instead of doing big programs that will have lasting meaning, they've just been divvying it up into small little, chip chop ham kind of programs.
I thought I was reading it in this, but somewhere in the last couple of days, I had read where there's some program they're working on where they were going to put in shooting ranges, a lot more of them across the country. And so from these population centers, they I think they said they had to be within 21 miles of a population center. So I don't know exactly where I read that, though. So
I don't know where I read it, but somewhere you read it. Okay.
But they're saying that there's gonna be a lot more ranges being built, and that
okay. So that would be a different bill that's called the Target Practice and Marksmanship Training Support Act, which is the one that we're talking about right now is called the Range Access Act, but that one was called the Range Bill, and so there's movement. So people are looking at it, people are thinking about it,
they've been setting
and they're
records
trying to
on gun sales and ammunition sales for the last, I don't know, what are they saying now, 65 months or something like that.
It's been a long time.
Anyhow, all these new guns and new bullets need someplace to be shot. So
correct, someplace safe to be shot. Correct. So it'll be. I like the fact that they are thinking about it, that they're planning in advance, and that they're trying to figure out how to continue to help the sportsmen and women.
With Rhonda Zell about the stuff in Chicago and how hard it is for ranges and stuff in there, so this may help them out.
Well, yeah, because the Azal versus the city of Chicago was that you could get a concealed carry license once they were forced to allow you to have a concealed carry license. But in order to do that, you had to take a class. And in order to do that, you had to get to the range to take the class. And oh, by the way, there is not a range within like an hour and a half of Chicago. And many Chicagoans do not own cars. They use public transportation, which means that hour and a half is not now an option
not available
to them. So that was where they made it to where Chicago cannot stop a range from being built inside the city limits. And
it didn't force anybody to build a range inside the city limits.
Well, no, because they can't look at you and say, "You, Rob Campbell, I'm going to make you spend your money to build a business."
One of these new acts
will provide the money. We'll free it up a little more.
Though, if there's that much call for it, that somebody would want to. Well, of course, if you put it in range, you probably have to have 10 lawyers on call because they try to block you at every turn.
Right, exactly. So our video producer said that Chicago is more than an hour and a half from Chicago during rush hour. That you can't get there from there till there. But yeah, so it should be interesting. But yeah, one would think that there would be some ranges built inside. I mean that there would be a call and there would be a demand, but I don't know. I don't know how that works. So it's interesting though to me to watch how some of these jockeying for position, it matters. It matters a lot to talk to your elected officials about things that matter to you, because I am sure that there is not a congressman who looked at it and said, "Aha, I think that this 25% match for Pittman Robertson money is a problem, and 10% would be the solution." Somebody came to them. Somebody laid it out to them, and they picked it up and ran with it. So there are a lot of
Plus,
times.
if you had the money to do one range down, now you have the money to do two, possibly.
2.5, maybe. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of. Exactly.
You still got to pay the bureaucrats their little cut, so.
Oh. Yeah, all that.
Remember, there's 10% for the big guy.
No. We still haven't decided who the big guy is. Right? It's just a rumor. It's a rumor. It's not really.
I'm sure they know who it is. They're just not saying.
They're not telling you because you would probably put your tinfoil hat on and start to dance around talking about who the big guy is once you get it ascertained.
Marching in a circle, I was talking about the big guy.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure. So we heard rumors. You've got an idea. I've got an idea. All our listeners have an idea. We'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the backseat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Are you interested in firearms? Are you looking for a resource to help you understand guns? Trying to help someone who's new to the world of shooting? Hi, I'm John Petrolino, 2A writer and the author of Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on general gun safety and use. Decoding Firearms is a comprehensive book with 266 pages of information. Want to learn more? Visit thepenpatriot.com or get yours today on Amazon in paperback or Kindle.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so last week we did a story on a Arkansas guy that was killed in an ATF raid of his house, Brian Malinowski. So Brian Malinowski, the ATF had said that he was dealing in guns. They didn't like it, so they went and raided his.
That was the head of the airline.
Yeah, so he was the Little Rock Airport executive director, and so they came, and so the part that we didn't hear in the first article was the fact that he was shot in the head by a carbine that was wielded by an ATF agent, and that he lingered and then died 2 days later. So there's that. Now, the Arkansas Attorney General, Tim Griffin, he's not sitting down taking this. He's not just going to be like, well, it was really unlucky day for Malinowski. That's not how Griffin is running this whole thing. He says he needs the ATF officials to explain what happened. And he asked for body cam footage. So the ATF is saying they don't have any. And he's calling.
They say that all pre-arranged raids
ATF rules require that they have a body cam when there is a pre-planned raid. So they have a requirement that they do this. They planned it and pre-planned it.
It makes me wonder why people don't trust the police anymore, because of the fact that they're going to lie to us.
Right. So did they pre-plan it? If they did, why did they not follow their rules? If they did follow their rules, why can I'm not saying that the rank and file U.S. citizens should immediately see the video. I'm not saying I think they should see the video, but I don't think they should immediately see the video. But I believe that the Arkansas Attorney General, this is a citizen of his state. He is the chief law enforcement officer of the state, and he is asking for it. So this really ties back to, remember the bills where they're trying to do the Second Amendment Protection Acts, which say that if the government wants to send agents into your state to do something, that you can say, I am not using any of my resources to support you.
They can't stop the government from coming in, but the government has to bring their own agents and stuff because they're not going to use their local.
They're not going to use or support it. So they, so the ATF has not made a public statement. They have not responded to the Attorney General. The only thing that they have said so far is that Malinowski fired first. Well, that's because men with guns who have not identified themselves, or
well, in last week's article, they said that they had actually put tape over the Ring doorbell and everything, so you couldn't see who was outside. We
couldn't stop it, but that those people appeared with guns and then was surprised when he returned fire first.
How many people aren't going to shoot back?
Only those that do not have guns, right?
Or that didn't load their gun and their bullets are in a different location.
Honey, where'd I put my gun? Where's my bullets? Right, all of that.
Bullets.
I still have time to rack the slide. That kind of This is so. It's interesting because last year Oklahoma and the state rep J.J. Humphrey demanded a grand jury investigation to the ATF in his state. So now the Attorney General Tim Griffin in Arkansas is rattling this cage. I think that they have an overreach issue with the ATF.
Well, things have gone crazy with the ATF ever since Deedlebox taken control. I think that maybe they should look at his style of operation,
leadership or lack thereof,
right.
or directives, or something. But it's
a free for all.
We're just going to say watch this space, because the attorneys general that I have had the opportunity to interact with, and there have been multiple states, they are not pushovers. They didn't get to that position because they're like, oh, never mind, sorry, you're from the government and you made a statement and we'll believe it. I know that Ohio's attorney general is like, he gets grief because he joins in on amicus briefs all the time saying government overreach, stand down. And so it's we're going to say watch this space, because there is going to be more that comes out of this. And you know how sometimes you see something or you hear something, and then all of a sudden you hear more and you hear more and you hear more of it. That's, I think, what's going to happen with everything that's happening with the ATF, is that now that they're in the news, people are hearing them, watching them, looking at them, looking for them, and then saying, aha, here's another incident. So those incidents might have happened before and were not reported upon in the mainstream media, but that's not going to be the case now. They are going to get reported on. We are going to hear more of it. We're not going to like what we hear, and somebody at some point is going to take action. Somebody besides the rank and file Pro 2A people who have been watching are going to get their craw full, and they're going to push back. And maybe, just maybe,
well, if Trump wins with his dictator for a day thing, maybe he'll look into some of this stuff.
Maybe, just maybe, they'll get the F out of the BATFE. That would be all cool.
It may be that they already have enough trouble with the rest of their stuff that they don't need the F part of it. They can just keep themselves busy tormenting the other explosive and
alcohol, tobacco, and explosives, and leave us, the Second Amendment folks, leave us alone and deal with it at a state level. This government entity is a growing problem. And so what's that statement? I've had it, I'm not going to take it anymore, right? That's kind of where I think we're going. And so reach out to your attorney general and tell him, good job. We'll be back.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Are you interested in firearms? Are you looking for a resource to help you understand guns? Trying to help someone who's new to the world of shooting? Hi, I'm John Petrolino, 2A writer and the author of Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on general gun safety and use. Decoding Firearms is a comprehensive book with 266 pages of information. Want to learn more? Visit thepenpatriot.com or get yours today on Amazon in paperback or Kindle.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Okay, so we are back, and there's a Tennessee teacher in training, young, I'm going to be a teacher when I grow up, teacher, that has said that they should not allow teachers to be armed. Teachers like me are trained to educate kids. Arming us will make everyone less safe. That's their stand. That's their hypothesis. That's their theory. That's what they've said. And so there's like this weird connotation to this that says that, I mean, they allude to the fact that they are going to be forced, and that's not the case. So when you're talking about a school where there is an armed staff or there is a trained staff that is trying to stop an active killer, you want people who want to have training. You want people who want to do it. You want people who are willing.
Someone who is engaged in it because they want to be does a much better job than someone who is just forced to or is a slave to a paycheck. So
there is no way on God's green earth that they would take a teacher who does not want to carry a firearm, who does not want that level of responsibility, and say you have to. So, but in this case, the mindset that I find reprehensible is the fact that because I don't want to, you're not allowed to. No one else around me can. No one else in the building should. That there should be laws against this, and they should restrict everybody's ability to fight back, to defend the kids, to do these things. Because I don't think it's a good idea. I'm putting myself in the position of where I can't even, because I would have to unzip the top of my head and scoop out about half my brain to be able to put myself in a position where this teacher has put themselves.
Well, the thing is a lot of the left says, oh, if there was no guns at all, we would be a peaceful planet. But, I mean, before they invented the gun, they still killed each other with clubs, spears, knives, whatever.
Right, and now they use
pots of boiling oil.
Right, trebuchets, all of that. But now they use bombs, and they use sharp instruments, and they use cars, and evil exists.
Right. Sometimes they use a Toyota to go see the Christmas parade or
they
something.
Just had another one where they drove a Toyota, or not a Toyota, but they drove a car.
Truck or something through a birthday party or something.
Correct. And killed 2 siblings and wounded 15 more or something because somebody, yeah. So when you look at this, my problem is that with the mindset that says that if I don't want to, you're not allowed to, then I believe that person, I don't want you to, you're not allowed to, I would not let you near my children. I believe that they should not be, if they don't have logic and reason and free will and an understanding of how that works in the American culture, how do we want them to be the educator that takes these tiny little minds?
Some of this article was pointed out the fact that that if you can't learn how to do some of this stuff or can't understand why someone else would want to do this stuff, how could you actually be a teacher to teach the...
Yeah, could they be trusted with my children? Yeah, this is where it ends. And so this article, it's written by Tom Knighton, and I love how Tom Knighton puts stuff together. But here's Tom's words. She says they're trained to educate, but this proposal requires them to be trained in carrying and using a firearm as well. Not really. They don't have to. They don't have to. If they are untrainable or something, maybe we should trust that their training as teachers took when they can't have training for other things that'll take. There's all of that. But the real question is, if they can't be trained on something, because she says that they're untrainable in this aspect.
The thing is doesn't everybody have this goal that they want to stay alive? Is that a normal thing, or most people that are not mentally ill? So if you're not willing to
protect yourself,
right, yourself, then what is going on inside of your head?
I don't know, but the other piece is, we have seen, and we have been heartbroken while we've seen teachers that have literally thrown their bodies over top of and protected the children in their care, knowing that they would not survive the encounter and hoping the children would.
The military guys who live through the experience and get these Congressional Medals of Honor, so they usually ask them, what did you do this? And it was because they were trying to help their friends.
Right.
It wasn't nothing about them. It was the fact that they needed this guy to stop what he was doing so it didn't hurt their friends. So.
So I am, you've seen people who have, they've thrown themselves on hand grenades, or they've run towards something instead of away from it, because
they attack a machine gun bunker on their own
for the greater good, because somebody had to stop it, and they were that somebody. So you see that, and then you see this kind of a mindset where it's like, nobody should be allowed to. Nobody should be allowed to. And I have heartburn with nobody should be allowed to do something in that kind of thing. And it's like, look, you need to go work in some non-free country with non-free mindset, and then say, the general said this is all I could do, because then it's not your fault, because that would be it. I'm just following orders. Oh wait, isn't that exactly what the guys in Dachau said? I'm
Just following orders.
following orders. I find it reprehensible, and I just think that this teacher should be absolutely ashamed because they are not.
Or at least looking for a different type of employment, because you don't want them around your kids.
I don't want them around my kids. I don't want them around my kids. I don't want them around the kids in my neighborhood. I do not want them around flexible young minds that are the future of our country. I don't. There you go. That's it. Okay, so what else do you have? Oh, so Omaha, Nebraska.
Well, Nebraska recently got the constitutional carry,
right,
or one form of it, anyhow. So Omaha is having some heartburn in the fact that their city laws don't reflect the constitutional
state,
carry.
Right.
And so it's funny because the judge ordered them into mediation.
Right, instead of the judge telling Omaha to suck it up.
Right, well, and so both sides say that there's really no room to move unless one of them is willing to compromise on something.
And they're not compromising.
And neither one's going to compromise.
Right.
So they're kind of at a standoff here as to how this is going to go. I think in the long run, Bruin's going to help them with that. But
I think, so when you look at it in a lot of the constitutional carry laws, they put preemption in so that you couldn't have
So Nebraska may be ready for preemption as their next move.
To make
all the cities play well together. Of course, Ohio has preemption, and Columbus doesn't get that memo.
But that's activist judges again. So I don't know if Nebraska had preemption in there.
I don't know. I know
and the judge is ignoring
Cleveland had tried to push preemption, and our law has a thing where they have
teeth. Our law has teeth.
Right, it has teeth in it. So if you lose, you have to pay both guys
legal fees.
And so,
Cleveland has lost 4 times.
In Cleveland, it costs them about $450,000 each time that they try to butt heads with the thing. So,
and it's like, we need more taxes because we need more money because we're going to go after something that we're going to lose, and then we'll give all your money to that person. That seems to be. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Keeps the lawyers busy, though.
Well, you would think that after the first time, it's sort of like when the stove is red hot and you touch it and your fingers make that sizzling noise.
Yeah, you don't want to touch it again.
The next time you're like, ooh, maybe I don't want to touch that.
You step away from it before you bend over to put your pants on.
No, and I think in this case, Cleveland's like, oh, it's only red. It can't be hot again.
It already burnt me once.
Right. It can't be. It can't be hot a third time. No, it can't be. No. So that it's sort of where that is. So I think we need to ask if Nebraska has preemption or not. That is the question, and we'll be back to talk about that if we and now that we've discovered what the question is, we'll ask the gal who is running the Nebraska Firearms Organization, because she's all about that. I got to see if I can spell preemption. Okay, there you go. Or something as close to it. I cannot write and speak at the same time, especially words that I have to think about spelling, because then all of a sudden I stop talking because it all. And since it is radio, it's critical to continue to produce the show and talk on the show as like a portion of the show. It sort of makes sense that way. But we'll double check that and we'll get back to you with it. So we'll be back right after this commercial break, and we're going to talk about the NSSF Congressional Fly-In.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Rangemaster certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, so we didn't have to wait to go talk to the state leader of Nebraska because the bill for constitutional carry actually had preemption right in the name of it. So Nebraska has preemption. So know that when they send the city of Omaha and the Nebraska Firearms Group together for mediation, preemption is on the table, and preemption says that no city shall pass rules and regulations that are more stringent than the state, which means Omaha, you're a loser. It's going to be, you've lost. It's there. You know,
talk to Columbus, Ohio, and
over
to
and
Cleveland.
and over. Right, there you go. Don't know if there's teeth in it or not, but they're not going to make it out of mediation successfully. There is all of that stuff. So this past week, the firearms industry leaders went to the halls of Congress in Washington, D.C. for the 2024 National Shooting Sports Foundation's congressional fly-in because they wanted to talk to members of Congress about how the congressional policies that they're debating impact. Here's how many people, Americans, are employed in the PLCAA protected, so constitutionally protected firearms and ammunition industries. 385,000 employees. So that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. So is it? Yeah, that's. I'm trying to think. 385,000. I mean, when you look at the fact that there's 320 million people, that so. Yeah, so when you start to move the digits over to figure out how many it is, what is that, 1%? Or is that 0.1% of all employees? 0.1% of all employees work in the firearms and ammunition industry. So that's actually a lot of people. A lot of people in a country that has so many different diverse jobs.
Well, because we always have such shortages of ammo, we probably need more people in that industry.
Right. We do. We do.
Just saying.
There is that. But I think it's kind of cool. When you look at it, it's sort of like when the Women for Gun Rights go to Washington and walk the halls of Congress. In this case, they were 2 jam-packed days of meetings, and it's fabulous. I wish I were there.
Well, I mean, and they said some of the senators came to meet with them and that, so
right. So it wasn't
like
just
being
congressional.
Totally ignored by everybody.
No, but it's pretty. Well, when you get them a lot of people in on a singular topic, then there's a lot of meetings that happen. There's a lot of people that are happening, that are looking. That there's a lot of conversations that take place, and it's pretty cool. If you've not been to Washington D.C., it's almost like you can feel the nation's heartbeat as you walk the halls. You can see the history, you can feel the history, you can look at where the stone steps have been worn down with people's footprints. You can just see where they've taken shortcuts in different directions. You walk into the Library of Congress and know that you've touched a book that Thomas Jefferson touched, that he read first. Right? It's just cool. That depth of history is awe-inspiring. At least to me, it is.
It's funny. We were just discussing this morning on Facebook about with this AI being able to do everything.
Oh yeah.
Is it worth your while to stockpile old original books so that they can't change the text to?
Right? Can it be modified?
Since everything now is electronic, and if you want one, they just print it as you go.
Mm-hmm.
There's no saying that what you got is what Robert Frost originally wrote or anything, because they may have changed it to make it a little more PC.
So yeah. So did you get the original version, or did you get the Well, and then but they've been preparing us sort of for that. Because when you look at something, you'll get the 5th edition or the 6th edition, and it's like, well, what happened between the 1st edition and the 5th edition?
Right. Well, that's the thing is sometimes you have to go back and look for a real early one to get see the cuss words in it or whatever.
Yeah, Shazam. Right. Because their cuss words were way more creative than ours. Ours have gotten to pedestrian type cuss words.
Well, sometimes even in the 50s, there was some of the books they were reading in schools that they changed the text in them because the book was a little bit harsh
for the time, or got it. Could be. So.
It was, I guess, it's seeing the future, and they didn't like seeing the future.
Well,
Well, if you've ever read 1984, you'll see that all of what we're worried about today is
was
what he wrote about.
right,
in the
and
day.
saying that it was going to be the future in 1984. So yes,
Right. So it's taken a little longer than 1984, but not much longer, really.
no.
Maybe we all should just go back and watch the first Terminator movie so we understand how AI works.
What's going to happen to us next? I don't know. I probably 3 or 4 times this weekend, people would be like, they were defining something and they were like, it's like the scene in that movie, and then they'd just name the movie and they'd say, did you see it? And my answer is always
No, and
No.
that's the thing is you should watch some more movies, and some of that stuff is it's eye-opening.
how about you watch the movies and you tell me, Mr. Tinfoil Hat, because there's too much reality already in my reality for fake reality to be in my reality. I've had it. I've had it with that.
And sometimes it's not what you're seeing on the screen; it's what's the story behind the story that you have to, I guess, put it in the right perspective to see. I mean, there was a movie years ago where the guy had trapped the Grim Reaper in a tree in the backyard
Okay.
and wouldn't let him down, and so eventually people in town came to beg him to let the guy loose because so many people were suffering and that and they needed to go, but there was no place to go because
The Grim Reaper wouldn't. Okay. See, I watch those kind of movies and it's like, did you ever stop to think? And never start again, right? It just makes my head go in.
It makes you think in a different direction, though. And I mean, there's some of that, the old TV show that Twilight Zone, and that where you were watching something, and right at the end there's like a little twist to
I
it.
know.
And all of a sudden
You would watch that, and then I couldn't sleep. So I'm just saying that I want the happy movies. I want the show tunes and the song and dance movies. I do not want the Terminator or Twilight Zone or the Grim Reaper or the Axe Murderer. Nope.
I mean, I like watching Fred Astaire dance too, but there's sometimes you need more to it than just that.
No. No. I'm perfectly satisfied with the reality that comes from the news, not from horror reality that comes through the TV that pretends to be real that scares me.
It's not that. It's a warning of what can be. It's Bob Marley coming to show you that maybe you need to change your ways.
Maybe I need to change.
Jacob Marley, not Bob Marley.
Yeah, I think they're different. They're just a little different.
One of those Marleys are coming to show you.
Somebody's going to show you the future. We'll see you guys next